It's being called the second most important election of the year, the recall of the governor in Wisconsin.
The race began as a battle between the state's powerful unions and Republican Governor Scott Walker. But as John Woggy reports, it's turned into a fight with national implications.
In the campaign's final days, Democrats sent Bill Clinton, not Barack Obama, to mobilize the vote for Democrat Tom Barrett.
The laboratory dish for those right-wing radical notions that they're spreading around this country. And we're not going to let it happen.
Meanwhile, at a weekend Tea Party rally, Republican Congressman Paul Ryan framed the battle in constitutional terms.
Do we believe in those founding principles? Liberty, freedom, free enterprise, government by consent of the governed, the stuff that makes America great.
At the last debate before Tuesday's vote, Walker and Barrett went at each other with the knowledge that people in all 50 states, red and blue, are watching.
I've heard for years from Democrat and Republican voters alike that people complain that politicians get into office and they don't take on the tough issues. That's exactly what we did. In fact, it's interesting for all the talk about what the recall was about initially, we don't hear a lot about that anymore. It's because our reforms are working.
Scott's done a very good job in traveling around this country, becoming the rock star to the far right and raising millions and millions of dollars. And those people have an agenda that's not a Wisconsin agenda.
With early voting underway, turnout is expected to pass 60%, and less than 2% of those surveyed say they're undecided. A coalition of union groups bitterly opposes Walker's pension reforms, and the result was recall efforts for state senators and a judge who supported Walker. Most have failed, but unions and their allies have spent millions and enlisted labor manpower to oust the governor. Ironically, the union reforms, which caused anti-Walker protesters to occupy the Capitol in Madison last year and prompted some Democratic lawmakers to flee the state, is rarely mentioned in the recall campaign. Instead, it's about jobs and a partial referendum on President Obama. Walker is getting support from national groups buying ads in Wisconsin.
This is no time to throw away all the progress that's been made here in Wisconsin. We must reject the efforts by Barack Obama and his minions to interfere with Wisconsin's turnaround.
Paid for and authorized by the campaign to defeat Barack Obama.
A Marquette Law School poll last week gave Walker a 52 to 45% lead in the race, and he won the endorsement of the state's largest newspaper, the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. But weekend polls suggested the race may be tightening. As Walker told CBN's David Brody, the bitterly fought contest has national implications, but the Baptist minister's son has higher priorities.
All this is just a temporary thing, and you know, God's got a plan for us that who knows where it might be, even beyond just serving as governor of this state. But if we stay true to that, there's always comfort, and God's grace is abundant no matter what you do.
John Woggy, CBN News.
This is an important election. If you live in Wisconsin, I hope you're going to vote. We need a large turnout so we can get a true result, not based on what a fraction of the population thinks, but what all the people think. Here underlying the issue, if you will, the Wall Street Journal has a wonderful editorial out today on this is a test of the entitlement state. And what Governor Walker did was he forced the public employees and their unions to start ponying up for part of their health insurance. And so they were asked to pay 12.6 of their health insurance premiums. Most private employees actually pay more than that. And then put 5.8% of their paychecks towards their pensions. That's what this is about. That when you get down to the numbers, that's what the numbers are about. And we'll see. On Wednesday, we're going to have a special report on the results of the recall election. Lee Webb has the rest of our top stories from the CBN Newsroom. Lee?
Gordon, stock markets around the world fell today. There is growing concern that the European debt crisis may lead to recession there. That, of course, could hurt the economy around the world, including here in the U.S. The American economy already weak. More evidence of that came in Friday's unemployment report, which showed that job growth remains very weak.
Employers are still cautious to actually make those hires and bring people on board and invest in their companies.
Some analysts believe the U.S. may be headed for a recession. International investor George Soros believes the Eurozone only has 3 months left to try to save the euro, and he says the European Union itself may not survive the crisis. An election year battle brewing over a new tax cut that was created under President Obama's 2010 health care overhaul. Republicans are trying to repeal the 2.3% tax on medical equipment makers. They say killing the tax will protect jobs and take a bite out of Obamacare. GOP leaders plan to push the measure through the House this week. Democrats say the industry can afford the tax and it will get millions of new customers from the health care law. Rescue officials are concerned that many people on the ground may have died after a passenger jet crashed in Nigeria Sunday. All 153 people on board were killed when the MD-83 went down in a crowded residential area. It's not clear what caused the plane to crash, but the pilot reportedly radioed the control tower about engine trouble just after takeoff. Nigeria's president has declared 3 days of national mourning in the wake of that tragedy. And that's not the only tragedy Nigerians are dealing with today. At least 15 people are dead after a suicide car bomber struck near a Nigerian church Sunday. Security officers at the Living Faith Church stopped the car from getting closer, but the blast still sent the building's walls crashing down on worshipers inside. More than 30 people are injured. No group immediately claimed responsibility for the attack, but it comes as Nigeria faces a growing wave of violence from the radical Islamist group known as Boko Haram. Dozens of churchgoers were murdered when a terrorist bomber struck this past Easter Sunday. Human rights groups are condemning the Islamic regime in Sudan for sentencing a woman to death by stoning. Sudanese officials follow harsh Islamic law known as Sharia, and that country is known for this type of severe punishment. 30 Africa-based groups signed a letter asking Sudanese officials to cancel the sentence and release the woman. She was charged with adultery and confessed only after being beaten by her brother. A Superior Court judge has barred a Vermont town from holding a prayer at the start of its annual town meeting. Judge Martin Maley sided with a local woman who sued to have that prayer blocked. She said the Christian prayer violated Vermont's Constitution, which protects against forced participation in religious worship. People from the Carolinas to Pennsylvania are still cleaning up after at least 12 tornadoes ripped across the mid-Atlantic region this past weekend. Heavy rains and powerful winds hit Maryland, Virginia, and Pennsylvania. One tornado struck Hampton, Virginia, not far from here, with winds estimated at 98 miles per hour. Operation Blessing, though, sent people to that area to help the families in need.
It just got quiet. It just got really quiet, and then you could hear the wind coming. Tried to get everybody in a hallway, inside, away from the windows.
It was like the clouds were spinning around. I saw leaves flying up in the air and a bunch of wind.
Operation Blessing is here in Hampton, Virginia, which is less than 30 minutes from our world headquarters in Virginia Beach, Virginia. On Friday night, a tornado ripped through this community, leaving substantial damage behind. As you can see, there's large trees down behind me. This tree actually went between two homes. We walked through the community, loving on residents, asking them what they needed.
Cars wrapped up, you know, with debris and damage all to the vehicles, just everything. I mean, honestly, trees down everywhere. Never seen anything like this in my life.
Operation Blessing crews arrived this morning, just ready to help anybody who's been affected in the storm. We're putting blue roofs on houses like the one behind me. And we're going to continue to do that through this neighborhood and anybody else who needs it, just to help prevent any further damage from rain and water.
It was such of a blessing today to know that someone came out to try to help us. It's just good to have organizations where someone like Operation Blessings can actually come out, and it stands for what it means. It is a blessing, most definitely.
It's great to see a tangible expression of Christ's love, Gordon.
All right, it's well named, Operation Blessing. If you want to help with disaster relief, we've got teams that are ready that we mobilize. When disasters strike, we want to strike back. And we want to strike back with hope, with love, and very practical care. If you want to be a part of it, just say, I want to give to Operation Blessing Disaster Relief Fund. You can mail it into CBN Center, Virginia Beach, Virginia, 23463, or you can go to the Operation Blessing website. There's a place on their giving page where you can designate your gift to disaster relief. Do it now. Or you can call us, 1-800-759-0700.
A South Carolina high school graduate has sued to stop prayers at future graduation ceremonies. 18-year-old Matthew Nielsen says the invocation at Irmo High School and his ceremony amounted to an endorsement of religion. He says he had suggested a moment of silence for people to reflect or pray privately, 81%, though, of the seniors voted in favor of the prayer. But Nielsen says that vote violated the separation of church and state. The school superintendent says the prayer was initiated by students and offered by a student, so there was no violation. Nielsen brought the suit with the help of the Freedom from Religion Foundation in Wisconsin. Kiev, Ukraine will soon be filled with soccer fans for the Euro 2012 Championship Tournament. The games will be a huge boost for that city's tourism industry, but trafficking advocates say the sex industry sees an increase as well. CBN's Orphans Promise is working to bring awareness to the fight against human trafficking in Ukraine. Orphans Promise is partnering with Free International to hold training for hotel workers. Employees are given practical information on how to identify human traffickers and their victims. You can find out more about what CBN is doing around the world by logging on to cbn.com/international.